Steve Waite, sales guru at Simply VoIP and your CRM. Welcome to the CRM Sushi Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
I'm great, Wes. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm
So,
excited to
man,
be here.
you better be, man. You're talking with the sales whisperer, dude. You better be fired up. You better bring your A game, all right? I will delete this thing.
Don't worry, I got you right here. Got your book.
Nice. All right, I'll go easy on you, man. I'll go easy on you. Flattery will get you everywhere.
Okay.
So Simply with an L-I-I, simply.net. I've been working with you guys for several years, various industries. One of my bigger clients in the real estate space, the mortgage industry. But you've released an update, right? Kind of a little bit of a makeover on the GUI.
Right.
Yep. But you are a voice over IP dialer. You're a CRM, but you also, you integrate with other platforms, right? So I want to start peeling this back, right, and looking at some use cases and when is it redundant to have a CRM when is it enhance an existing CRM? So lots of questions, especially with this new update. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing rattles and hums, man.
Yeah. So the main question I get, right, just super high level. Let's assume people don't know what voice over IP is, right? So
Yep.
It's the ability to have, instead of an old analog on-premise phone system, analog phone lines with your phone company, it's having your phones and phone system on the cloud, right? What that does, obviously, is it opens up a whole slew of opportunities for features and enhancements like the CRM integration. And so when I sit down with companies, one of the first questions I do ask is, hey, by chance, are you using a CRM, right? And if the answer is yes, then we go down the path of how they use the CRM and what powerful tools are they using with that. But
let
just
me
from
ask
a
you something.
yeah.
Let me ask you something right there. So if you ask 20 companies, are you using a CRM? How many are not using a CRM? Because I take it for granted that people use CRMs, but there's still a lot of people using just Gmail and spreadsheets, huh?
Yeah. I mean, in my line of work, they usually find me. The companies when they're looking for Simpli, they usually get to us because they use a CRM, but there are a lot of companies that I get introduced to just through my networking partnerships and my networking groups where, they don't have a CRM. And so
why if somebody has a CRM, why are they looking for you? Are they looking for a dialer?
Yeah, they find, again, through kind of varying platforms and avenues and channels, they find us. A lot of times it's from the CRMs themselves. I mean, I could rattle off 20 different CRMs that we integrate with, where they will actually push their customers to us. Just say, hey, Simpli provides an integration with us on the phone and text side, and so they'd be a good option. So that's how they get to us.
So that's what they're looking for. I mean, and even on your website, I mean, you lead with the VoIP option, right? And the CRM is kind of, is it fair to say the CRM is secondary and VoIP is primary?
Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So the voice side and tech side of things, for most businesses, that's their lifeblood, right? It's their phones and the ability to text and receive text messages to and from customers. So when we sit down with companies, first thing I ask is, who's your provider? What are you doing for phone services? And again, if it's analog, if it's, hey, I'm with CenturyLink or I'm with what are some of the other big providers that I run into? The Comcast, the Cox, the Spectrums, stuff like that.
Sure.
If that's who they're using, we let them know that that's great. You can continue doing that, but if you want to use these enhanced features, such as the ability to record your phone calls, to have texting, to have on hold music and auto attendance, and the ability to, especially if you have multi-office locations, the ability to kind of take all your offices and kind of put them under one system. And then obviously with COVID, a lot of companies, were shooken up because of the fact that they had to send people home. And so now they needed the ability to have remote workers. Well, you can't do that with old on-premise or analog phone systems. So voice over IP is super prevalent now. Most people that are listening to this probably know what that is already. So again, the journey for us is, okay, how are you communicating with your customers? Let's say they're not using the CRM, Wes. How are you communicating with these guys? Are they calling you? Are you calling them? And what's that process feel like? If they're calling you, if you have a voice system, right? Or is there an auto attendant that greets callers, that lets callers get directed to the right departments or right call queues, hunt groups, stuff like that? Okay. So pretty basic stuff. We all do that. But when the CRM gets involved, this is where the magic happens. This is where it gets super fun, because as we'll walk through, now companies can track all this stuff. It gets logged inside the CRM as an activity or a note. So Wes, you're my customer. You call me. If you're calling me from the phone number that I have embedded in my CRM as your contact, that call automatically gets logged inside the CRM under your contact record. That's an event that now has happened, and I have access to go and look at and report on. If you don't have a CRM, yeah, you still have the ability to go in and see call history, but it's just a phone number, right? It's not going to have any ties to you specifically as a customer. It just gives me a big database of missed calls or answered calls. So there's really no reporting and usefulness to that. So again, the CRM kind of adds in these enhancements so that you can, again, track and better keep tabs on your communication with customers, right?
Okay.
And then obviously when you start building in texting, a lot of the CRMs, especially if they're marketing driven CRMs, the HubSpots, the Zohos, the Salesforces, the Infusionsofts, I could go on and on because there's millions of these, right? But they also provide you the ability to run automations. So I can take a customer off of a phone call. They call me, I'm the client, I'm the business. I can take off that phone call and I can disposition that call in a way that it can trigger some text automation in the CRM. It could put you, Wes, into a drip campaign that's going to fire off a text message on some sort of cadence based on, whatever you want, right? So if you're a new customer, if you're someone I'm trying to follow up with, or if you're an existing customer, I can put you in a cadence that says, hey, drip text Wes once a week, once a month, once a quarter, and here's each text communication that I want to go out based on that sequence. So it can do some fun stuff.
Yeah. What are most people doing when they switch over? Are they just having their staff just using their cell phones? There's a lot of remote work. So like, I don't even have a home phone now, so everything I call is from my phone, my cell phone, right? But I own the business.
Right.
If I have salespeople and they're using their cell phones, I feel kind of vulnerable because they're storing all the data and I don't have no visibility. So like
Right.
what's a typical company doing before they switch?
It depends. If there could be a combination of some people still have, if we go back to the analog system, they have desk phones, they have old Avaya, or they have old on-premise desk phones. I do run into companies like you just mentioned where their sales team, they're using their personal cell phones. That's how they operate.
Mm-hmm.
Not ideal, just because of the scenario you presented, where if that salesperson leaves, they take that communication with them because they've been using their personal cell phone. Nowadays, I'd say the majority of companies are using web phones, and I'll do a little drop down. So a web phone is just a dialer, just a dial pad on their computer, and they have a headset plugged in. And it could be like this, a wireless, or it could be a Bluetooth.
Well,
Other
that's a VoIP system in and of itself, right? Because like I have
that
HubSpot and there's dialing within that. The new
mhm,
Keep gives you a business number and you can do calls from within Keep.
right.
HubSpot, they it's a limited number of minutes and there's no SMS. But that's a VoIP system in and of itself, right?
It's basically it's some sort of, usually it's Twilio is who's providing that kind of link to Keep and stuff like that. And so it's not true voice over IP. It's not true VoIP. It's more just giving them uh, a line out and in where they can make and receive calls. But yeah, like you said, there's some real limitations to that. It's not usually ideal for a company that wants to have enterprise type features like the auto attendance and the ability to transfer calls and have ring groups and on hold music, that what companies usually have.
Right.
That's not the solution for you. The Twilio plugins to the Keeps of the world is not the answer. It's good for you, Wes, if you were just a one-man shop, and you're just trying to click to call or call right from the CRM. That's great. It's not a bad solution for that. So
So
we would come in and just kind of evaluate those needs, right? And so it's super consultative when you talk to a company and you say, how are you communicating with your customers right now, right? And are there pain points with that? Are there gaps in that? Are you missing calls? Or do you feel like you're not communicating with customers as well and not following up as well as you could be? And then we identify those pain points, and then we sit down, and if they are not using the CRM, we talk about, hey, that could be a real missing piece for you. If you are using a CRM, but you're only using like those Twilio plugins and you're not having the ability to transfer and do some of the things that you need to be doing, then we can come in and be a real improvement on that process.
okay. All these companies, is my call really important to them? Because it's please pay attention because our menu has changed. Can you tell people to use a different script? I don't feel like my call is very important to them.
Right. It's just some generic, yeah, just some generic recording that they throw on. I don't even know why that's on there, to be honest. Because
Uh,
I think they're trying to make you feel like, hey, be patient with us because we're not really good at answering your
'Cause we're
call.
too lazy.
We're lazy. Yep. That's how I feel when I hear that.
I know.
Um, so yeah, I mean, there's just a lot that goes into running a business, right? And specifically, like you said, getting people to care, getting people to answer the phone, getting people to do their job. And so that's why, in my opinion, and again, this is me taking the Simpli hat off. Just if I was a business owner, I would want full visibility and transparency into what my employees were doing when it comes to making and receiving phone calls.
Right.
If I'm paying them to do that job and communicate with customers, not only do I want to have that visibility, but I want to be able to record those phone calls. I want to be able to audit that and spot check how that communication is, how my people are talking to customers, making sure they're giving them the right message. If they're supposed to be giving them pricing, that they're giving them the right pricing, that they're getting them scheduled. So I can do that with a VoIP system. And if it's tied into a CRM, I can track that. I can go and actually see that activity. I don't have to go and ask my employee, did you call Bob? Because I can go see in the CRM that they called Bob, and I can listen to the phone call. I can see the text messages. There's no more of this. Yeah, I think I sent him. I think I called him. Can't remember. Let me go check, or let me see. That all really goes away when you start implementing these tools, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I see your screen over here, current active call. So that's cool because I've been seeing it update duration. So, walk us through this, like when somebody signs up, let's say they have, HubSpot or Keep, this sits on top, right? It's, you've got an extension, sits on top. So I can use all of this while I'm in my current CRM, right? I don't have to be switching between tabs all the time.
So what you're looking at here is every client of ours gets a dashboard or a portal. It's basically the hub where they can run their phone system and manage their phone system on the cloud. And so what you're seeing here is if I'm ownership or management, I can see, this is very high level, but I can see any current active phone calls in my company. I can see my employee who's answered the call. I can see who's called in. If it's an outside line calling in, it would show who that's from. I can see the duration of the call, and then if I want to, I could listen to these phone calls live, right? These are live active calls. I could just click on this listen in button, and I'm actively listening to that phone call happen in real time. And so I'll even show you what that looks like. So if I click on listen in, my phone's going to ring, right? And it could be my desk phone, it could be my mobile app, could be a soft phone on the computer. Okay. So I'm going to answer that. I just answered this call. So I'm monitoring the call right now. So I'm actively just listening to what's being communicated to this customer. We have the ability to, if I wanted, I could whisper, I can barge, I can take over the call if I needed to.
Okay.
Right. And so I'll hang that up. But yeah, I can jump into these. I can train people. If there's new staff, I have the ability to not only listen to their call, but I can whisper and coach them through the call. And then if I did need to, I could jump in and actually join the call myself.
Right.
So that's just one little tool, but that's, part of this whole Simplii experience for business owners and management, to be able to obviously sit and watch if they want, track active activity. There's high level reports that'll show how many
I
calls
thought
they've had.
everything was just social media and TikTok and e-commerce, man. Do people really still talk to humans on the phone?
Believe it or not, they do. They do, right? And I
Clearly
think
they're
that's
doing
a big,
something wrong, right?
exactly. How dare they? How dare they want to help their customers like that? And I think that's one of the things that it really bothers customers. If they can't get a hold of you, whether it's for an issue or an update, or if just, hey, I'm a new customer, I don't want to go, I want to talk to somebody, right? You have to at least give them the channel to do it, right? There are people, let's be honest, the younger crowd, they might just be okay with the text or, going and getting to your website and interacting with you that way. No problems with that, right? That's okay. but man, have the ability to just open up different communication channels and be responsive. I think that's the number one complaint I have with companies is that I'm dealing with a landscaper right now that's doing our yard. I can't get a hold of that guy. I can't, he doesn't answer his phone. Their email communication's terrible. They don't respond to text messages, right? I didn't know that. I didn't know that going into it. I thought I'd done some pretty good research on this group. Well, turns out that the more I dug deeper, yeah, that's their biggest complaint is their communication. And so I tell companies, don't let that be what brings you down as a company is your communication, because there's no need for it. There's the ability I can route calls to different people. If you're the owner, man,
Well, so like on that landscaper,
unhandcuff yourself from that. Don't be the owner that has to just handle all of it. Let's start to delegate that and use a phone system, use the ability to route calls to multiple people, right? I see owners that just do
how would
this.
that help? How would Simpli help him? I mean, if he's a small company, I mean, he's not answering his phone. I mean, it just sounds like maybe he's just not that good at business.
And I don't want to badmouth anybody, right? And that's not what this is for. The purpose of this is just to help communicate to business owners. If you're the guy that, hey, I'm a solopreneur, or I have 1 to 2, maybe 3 employees, but we're operating off cell phones, and you feel like communication's a bugaboo for you, you're not answering calls or you're getting complaints about that, get away from this. Get away from the cell phone thing, right? Switch over, because the cost really isn't that prohibitive to do a VoIP solution, because now you open up a whole opportunity to not only route calls to multiple people. If you miss a phone call, I can have a text go out to that customer that says, sorry, we missed your call. We will call you back as soon as possible. In the meantime, if you're trying to schedule with us or trying to get a quote or a bid, we can embed links into those text messages so that while people are waiting for you to call them back, at least you're keeping them engaged with some activity or somewhere they can go to see, hey, here's a link to see our product demo. So while you're waiting for us to call, here's a link to go read testimonials or get more information about what we do or get on our calendar, right?
Right.
I still advise customers to please be proactive in calling people back, especially if it's a new client, new customer, because I would tell you that if you're not calling them back in 5 minutes, they're on to the next business.
Yeah.
They're not, people are impatient nowadays.
Yep.
So number one rule, new customers aren't going to sit and wait for you to call them back days at a time.
There's always a dichotomy, right? I tell people, time kills deals. And when there's a new customer or a new prospect reaching out, if you're slow getting in touch with them, you're going to lose a deal.
Right.
But conversely, the bigger the deal, once there's engagement and dialogue, then you kind of need to take your time with that and don't rush it, so be quick and responsive initially, but then be professional and thorough to make sure all of the needs and gotchas are uncovered and questions are addressed, before you try to appear desperate or greedy or pushy and trying to close it too quickly.
Right.
But yeah, you got to be timely, in responding. That people, we are. I mean, we're impatient, man. We're running around crazy. Got a question? Let's get it answered.
Right. I really do feel that. I mean, I've been doing this for about 10 years now, and I've talked to every industry. I'd be shocked if there's not an industry that I haven't either spoken with or helped or, advised on, better communication. And I think the number one thing that I find is if a business is struggling, it's probably because they're not, either A, answering their phones, or they're not communicating very well with their customers, right? And that could be, I mean, you know how that is, Wes. That could be in a variety of different ways. Like you just said, if you're not good at answering calls for new business, that you're probably not growing. You're probably not making money because you're not
Yeah,
answering your phones. If I'm a new customer and you don't answer the phone, you're probably losing my business. So
yeah, for
same
sure.
with same with existing customers, or same with leads that you're. So if you pay a bunch of money to a marketing group or a marketer and they're bringing leads to you, but you don't have a good process to take a lead from a prospect to a customer, right? If you can't take them through that life cycle and keep really good active communication with people and have a process in place, you're probably needing a CRM. You're probably needing a guru to help you with that, right? You need a Wes Schaefer in your life. Okay.
Well, I mean, it sounds funny, but it's like you do, because the tool doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, you just had the Masters, just play this past weekend. And, I tell people all the time, I can give Tiger Woods my wife's golf clubs, and he's going to beat me on any course we go and play. He may not shoot his best score, but it's not the tool. It's
Right.
it's how you wield it. Right. And I see this all the time. People go and they buy these platforms, these all-in-ones, these blah, 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 and they become donors. I talk to people all the time. Yeah, I'm a keep donor, 'cause they'll buy it. They literally haven't logged in and used the tool in years. They just
Right.
pay for it. It's kind of like gym memberships. People are always shocked. I remember I was shocked. I learned years ago, a friend of mine, this was quite a while ago, probably 20 years at least, and he was in a small town in Alabama, but he had something, he was the gym manager, and he had something like 10 or 20,000 members at a gym. And I was like, what? And, he explains like single digits of people use it, but they'll keep their membership forever, right? If it's low enough, 29, 39, 49, whatever, they'll just keep it. Oh, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back, but they never use it. And in
Right.
business, I see it all the time. People buy books they don't read. They have DVD sets and binders that, they don't use. They'll go to a conference and just get drunk the whole time. I mean, like, why did you go?
Yeah.
They'll go buy the recordings. They'll never watch them,
You
but
know why, Wes? Because they just want to get a selfie that they were there and put it on social media, right? That's what kind
yeah,
of the age we're in.
kind of, yeah,
Look at me. I'm at the Tony Robbins event. Like,
yeah,
did you learn anything? No. Or
yeah,
are you gonna implement any of that?
yep.
Yeah, no, probably not.
I
Yep,
know. Crazy, huh?
it happens. Is crazy. So it's fun though. For me, it's fun to advise companies to say, again, right? If there's a business owner, or a company, or a group out there and they're struggling, and sometimes it's not that they're struggling, sometimes they just hate their current provider. They're like, hey, I'm with XYZ, company, VoIP, and I don't like their platform. I don't like their service. They don't integrate into my CRM. I love talking to those people too. So if even if they think that, hey, I've got pretty good communication with customers, I just don't like my provider, that's a great fit. We have excellent customer support. Obviously, we have, more features than most people know what to do with, right? And so we can really take a program and kind of cater it to their needs and take our service and make it fit what they're trying to do and how they're trying to communicate with customers. So it's good. I like it.
Is it like, what's the learning curve? Is it hard? Is it hard to ramp up and get going?
No, I mean we train everybody. And so when we onboard a company, we do it via Zoom like this. We'll do a Zoom video meeting. If they're using desk phones, we get those phones provisioned and shipped right to them. They're plug and play for the desk phones. They're doing soft
So,
phones on the
so do they
computer
have
or
to
mobile app.
swap out their phones? Do you give them the hardware?
Yeah, if they're on old type analog phones, yes, they'll need to upgrade those to voice over IP. We call them SIP phones, right? Um, if they're just going to do web phones on the computer, or if they want to use mobile apps, that's easy. We can show them how to download the software or download the app and log in, and we'll show them how to transfer and do calls and text, all the things that they're going to need to do just from a sheer calling and texting standpoint. If it's tied to the CRM, we show them how to link the CRM to our system. It's super easy. It's a Google Chrome extension. That's the plugin. And then if they're going to do automation, if they're going to do some sort of auto text responders, again, it's just a whole process that we take them down. And we'll take them down that path. And then we'll do all the training. We'll show them, we'll just work hand in hand with them to see how they're going to implement this. We'll give them advice on some things that other customers and other clients have done in their space. So,
and I mean, they can give you the model number of their phones if and you can tell them if it's compatible or not, right?
Yeah, if they're on a VoIP solution, and they have the Polycoms or the Yealinks or the Grand Streams, they give us the model number of their current VoIP phones, and more often than not, we can reuse those.
Yeah. And then the automations you're talking about, are those native to Simplii, or do they need a tool like Keep or HubSpot that simply then triggers the automations to run?
Yeah, they'll want, if they're going to do automations, most of the time, I'd say 100% of the time, those are triggered by a webhook or some sort of activity in the CRM, right?
Okay.
And then I just want people to know that there are so many CRMs out there, right? Yep. And most of them we can integrate with, most of the big names, but there's also some of the medium-sized players in the space that we can integrate with. And if there's some that we can't, there's always the opportunity to integrate with them, right? As long as I have the information, most of it's API kind of programming documentation, we can look to build into the CRM. So again, when people come to us, we can look at it.
Do you have native integrations with the big guys, or is it like through Zapier?
No, with the big guys, it's all just a Chrome extension. It's kind of how the magic happens. Mm-hmm. And so with the HubSpots and the Keeps and some of those, it's kind of built in. Like if I showed you, they can call or they can text right from inside the CRM. This is HubSpot as an example. I can text or call from here. Same thing on any phone number. Everything's click to call or click to text, right?
But like I mentioned, so HubSpot has that dialing already. I mean, would somebody use the HubSpot dialer, but then like use you for texting, or do they just go ahead and make the switch using your phone because of all the extra features that are already there?
Yeah, that's usually when they're coming to us, if they're already using the Twilio plugin, right? Or if they're using HubSpot's dial capabilities, they're either not happy with it or it's not robust enough for them, right?
Yeah.
So they'll come to us and say, there's just some things that this is missing. Like, we have the power dialer stuff, and we have voicemail drops. I mean, there's a lot that we can do, and so they don't get that sometimes with the Twilio plugin, right?
Right.
Or they have the multiple user scenario where, hey, Steve, not only do I need a call, but I also sometimes have to transfer that call. I can't do it with this. I can't do it with the HubSpot solution. Or I need to do a 3-way call or a conference call. Or so they'll come to us and the idea is to let's port the number over and let's keep that number with Simplii. That way you can call and text and do all the same stuff that
Is
you're
that
wanting
pretty
to do.
quick nowadays? I mean, I fortunately haven't had to port a number in forever, but it had gotten pretty quick the last time I did it.
Man, in the old days, it used to be a nightmare, but
Oh,
now it's
golly.
super fast. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And yeah, HubSpot doesn't do SMS. Keep does it now on some of the platforms, but
Right.
sometimes little features are missing about internal notifications, whatever. And yours is a full two-way communication, right?
Right.
Okay.
The other thing that I've noticed is some of these other plugins, they want to give you a new number. So it's like, oh,
Yes.
we have our main business number that we call from, but now the
Yeah.
Keeps or the
Keep gives you a new
HubSpots,
number.
you
Yeah.
got to have a new number that you're texting customers from. It's like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to text and call from my main business number. Again, that's where we come in and we say, hey, let's port that over to us. So now that when you call and text, it's all coming from that main phone number.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I guess from a corporate standpoint, I mean, it's not life or death to change numbers, but it is nice if you can keep it. I mean, but from a texting standpoint, is it that big of a deal? To keep it or have a new one?
It doesn't necessarily, it's not make or break by any means. I think it's more, I deal with a lot of business owners that are just want continuity. They're like, I just want everything from my main number.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a personal preference, but there's other companies out there that they don't mind. They're like, oh yeah, it's not ideal, but it's not a huge issue. It's not a deal breaker for us to text from a new number.
Right.
So it
Especially if
just
you can
depends.
standardize things and centralize them and then
Right.
like does every sales rep like do they like you assign them a work number and is it also their text number, but it's all corporate?
They can. Yeah. So a company could take a group of salespeople and assign them direct phone numbers. And so that direct numbers for that specific salesperson, so that any calling and texting to and from that number just goes right to the salesperson instead
Right.
of ringing into the main company virtual receptionist or whatever. So
Yeah, because I mean, I would imagine just thinking through different scenarios, like if you have even, I mean, dude, 20 years ago, I mean, when I moved out here to California, I was a sales rep for a tech firm. We were all remote. Headquarters was in Austin. And so would I be given a phone number, right? Or an extension, and then that forwards to my phone. But like if I call from my phone, I mean, it would have to be like a company issued cell phone, right? Otherwise I'd have to log into an app on my phone to have the corporate number show up versus my personal cell.
yeah, like our solution, you'd have a mobile application, a mobile app, and I'll show you what that looks like. So it's just an app that sits on your
Yep.
phone here. You just open it up and it gives you a dial pad, right? It stores all your either personal or company contacts, right? Your customer contacts. If you have a CRM, it'll pull in your CRM contacts here. But yeah, so you can either call or you can text. And when you're doing it from the app, it's showing either your business number, the main business number, or as a business owner, if I've assigned my salespeople their own direct numbers, company numbers, it'll show those direct company numbers when they call or text. And then when they do it from the app, if there's a CRM implemented, those calls and text messages log to the CRM, even though they're using the mobile app. Right.
Cool. Yep. I like
Yeah, I
it.
mean, it's very cool. There's a lot of fun things that we can do. It's ever evolving. Companies that need market penetration numbers, like you're in California, but if you start branching out to Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Arizona, we can get local numbers in those markets so that now when you call, if you happen to call someone in Phoenix and you own a 480 area code number, our system can just automatically change your caller ID to be your Arizona number.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you're calling all over the place, you're not calling from a California number hoping that someone in Arizona is going to answer it. They probably won't, because they don't, who's calling me from California? Well, when you call them from a Phoenix number and they're in
Sure.
Phoenix, they're more apt to answer it,
Yeah.
So we can implement that kind of stuff too.
Yep.
So
That's cool. And so, I guess if they want to demo it, they just call you and say, "Hey, I heard about your wonderful tool on the CRM Sushi Podcast, right?"
yeah, you bet. They just reach right out to me and say, "Steve, man, I saw your beautiful face on that podcast." And I'll say, "I'm sure you did."
But how could they see your face with my glowing face just shining so bright?
That's true. That's true.
All right, but I mean, maybe you're shining through.
I hope so.
Cool.
I hope so.
So yeah, and I do like this, just the whole click to call, the saving, the history, the tracking, because I'm always working with teams trying to streamline things, make it quicker. If you're making salespeople click around, do extra things, they're not going to do it, or they're just going to forget, or they just get busy. You have multiple calls coming in, you hop off of one to take another, and you just don't do the thing that's needed. So being able to click, dude, it took me a long time to realize what the heck a call disposition was. Like, what do they mean by that? It's just like, what's the outcome? Yeah. What was the result? Years ago, 10 to 12 years ago, I made a campaign. I just installed it last week for a client that has, using Keep's internal forms. Hell, man, he probably, as he grows, he's going to need Simplii, because we've got 2 part-time people doing outbound calls. He's looking to hire a couple of more, and we're going to probably have to talk about that, because, but I made kind of a branching tree. I mean, it is, Keep calls it a decision diamond. It's basically an if-then sequence. What call was this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What was the outcome? What was the disposition? Left voicemail, wrong number, needs to delay, not interested, but so whatever. And then based on that logic, I've got this spider web of, logic. If call 1 was this, then do this, left voicemail, then it sends an email. Hey, sorry, I missed you. I left you a message. I was telling you about Acme Inc. And then 2 days later, it gives them a task to make call number 2. So, I've been manually like building out this kind of stuff, because I'm an anal retentive salesperson, man. And I'm an efficiency freak. And I being a sole provider of a family of 9, I've got to be efficient, right? I had to make every sale. And so I'm always figuring out how to be efficient with this. So, that's what y'all are doing for phone and SMS. So it's cool, man.
Yeah. Like I said, if I've talked to business owners that they use a cell phone, they don't have a CRM, so everything's tracked on paper, or if they have follow-ups, it's on maybe a calendar. They'll put it on a calendar. Well, you as a business owner, you get busy, man. The chances of you missing that or forgetting to follow up with that customer, if it's not tracked and you don't have a good process in place, I'm telling you, you could as well, Wes. We could sit down and go, let's walk through your processes. If you're a struggling business, or if you feel like there's some flaws in your communication, we could pinpoint it real fast, right?
Oh yeah.
And we could show a business owner or a group and say, there's better ways to communicate. And if you don't have a CRM tied to this whole process,
oh yeah,
that thing could be a life changer just because of the automations. It'll do the follow-ups for you. I don't need to follow up with customers. I mean, if it requires me to call them, the automation will put that process in place that it'll notify me I'm supposed to call this guy or
Yeah.
this gal. If it's a
I know, man. I mean,
text,
I live on
I
my
could put
calendar. I don't know what I'm doing more than a few hours ahead. It's like my wife will ask
my
me.
wife, yeah, she laughs at me too. I go, babe, if it's not on the calendar,
And
it doesn't
I give
exist in
her
my
access
world.
to my calendar, right? It never fails. Like we're getting in bed, and she's like, "Hey, so what do you have going on tomorrow?" And I'm like, "All
Let
I
me get my
know is,
calendar out.
like, do I have a call? Like the earliest I'll take a call is about 7 a.m. my time, and that's rare. But if somebody needs it, they're East Coast or whatever, it's 10, so I'm up. I like to do my own thing in the morning and then get to client work later. So that's all I know. Do I have an interview? Do I have a call early? That's all I know.
Right.
I'm like,
Yep.
after that, it's like, let me go check my phone.
I have these groups, Wes, that we've set them up. A couple of them are big roofing and fencing groups, right? Companies. And what they've done is they'll take prospects. They'll take an example of a prospect that, let's say they've been calling and texting, emailing, calling, texting, the normal process to try to get in touch with this potential customer prospect. They only do it a certain number of times before they take that prospect and they put them into a bucket with Simplii in their CRM. They put them into a bucket and it drips that person a text once a week until that person does something, either tells them to, hey, stop bugging me, I'm not interested, or I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's been a game changer for them because the old process for them was, let me make a note or let me put it on a calendar somewhere and they'll forget about it, right?
Yeah.
Or the second scenario is that customer said, hey, I'll be ready in 6 months. Follow up with me in 6 months. Okay. So that company says, okay, we'll follow up with you in 6 months, Wes. They put you in their calendar for 6 months from now. What's that, like October? Well, what happens when Wes Schaefer decides that he's ready in June? Well, guess what? They start calling around to other companies and they get sold by someone else because you, Wes, or you, Bob, or whoever, you had your follow-up in October and you missed these guys because they were ready sooner. Well,
And
what
they
the
forget.
process,
People don't remember. Salespeople are like, oh,
and
they'll
they
remember
forget,
me. We had
and
good
they forget.
rapport. They'll remember me. They'll come back.
No, they won't. No,
Good luck
they
with
won't.
that.
So what happens is the guy that said October, he's now ready in June for some reason. Well, if you have a drip campaign with this guy, I don't care if it's weekly or biweekly or monthly or whatever, you're going to hit him. He's going to get a text from you automatically and he's going to go, oh, hey, I'm glad you reached out to me in June. I'm glad I got your text. I'm ready now.
Yep.
So these fencing and roofing guys that have been implementing this stuff, they're like, Steve, it's a game changer for us. It's changed our whole dynamic of how we communicate with people. And we're getting deals that we normally would have either forgotten about or maybe just lost track of. And so those are just, if this rings a bell or triggers someone into thinking, oh, I need that, that's just a small sample of what's possible out there, what we can do, what this technology can do. It can really just turn your world upside down in terms of how much better you can be as a business owner and how much better you can communicate with people. And the process is super fun.
Yeah. I mean, you got to stay in touch, man. That's the name of the game. That's business. Stay in touch.
Yep.
So good. Well, cool, man. I'll be linking to you as always. I've appreciated
Wes, feel
working
free to
with
link
y'all.
my calendar, my phone number. Just throw whatever.
I'll grab all that.
I don't care how people want to communicate with me. If they want to get to me, I'll give you my calendar link, my email, my phone number, my address. If you want to come visit me and have lunch, just kidding. You probably aren't going to come visit, but you can call, text, email, whatever's best, man.
You're in Utah, right?
Yeah, man. If you guys like the snow, this was the year for you to come to Utah because we're upside down.
There was snow everywhere. They're talking here. Big Bear, Mammoth. golly,
You saw Tahoe, those pictures in Tahoe?
it's insane.
That's what we had here. We were just, the mountain resorts are buried under 80 inches, 80 feet of snow.
Yeah, well, they're even
Yeah,
saying like North Dakota, like record snow. So it's been a crazy year. That's good, man.
Crazy.
Take away the drought. All right.
What I'm hoping is that all this excess water, we can get these lakes like Lake Powell and some of these lakes filled back up.
For sure.
So, yep, we need it.
All right, I'll come visit. Fine.
All right, Wes. All right, we'll do lunch.
All right.
Or we'll
Steve.
golf. You golf at all?
I do.
All right, we'll do some golfing.
Come down here and we'll golf.
Okay, let's do that.
Oh no, I'll go up there because it helps my ego because I can hit the ball farther at the elevation.
Oh yeah, altitude. Yeah, you're gonna add 15 yards to your drive.
All right, cool, man. Well,
Okay,
Steve Wade, all the way from Utah, simply.net. Thanks for coming on the show. Been good seeing you.
Yep. All right, buddy. You too. Take care.